2050, here's 7 things we need to be thinking about. Observation number 1, we're going to be much bigger. Everybody pretty much agrees that we're going to be at least double the size we are now. So there's going to be a lot more people walking around. Double the size, it's hard to imagine. Observation number 2, we have very happy older people, as opposed to the grumpy ones we're all used to. So demographics is driving this age bubble for sure. We all understand what the demographic trends are doing, but also we have to remember that here in Vancouver, in the Lower Mainland, geography is going to be helping to drive this particular trend as well. We're a very desirable place for people to come when they're in semi-retirement and retirement years. And we also have to remember the cost of living here is expensive now and only going to get more and more and more expensive. I'm not here to say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm here to say that sort of seems to be the path that demographics would predict we're headed down, something we need to be thinking about as we move into the future. Observation number 3, we're not going to be retired, we're going to be actively retired. In fact, the definition of retirement is going to change. It's going to be a very long process, particularly when you think that everyone in the medical community is predicting we're going to be living until we're 120 years old. So if we retire when we're 60 or even 70, that's a long time to be hanging around doing nothing. So we're all going to be very, very active. It's a different kind of retirement than what we tend to think of when that word comes up today. Observation number 4, a lot fewer babies, and the correlation to that, a lot fewer first-time buyers coming into the market. And that's interesting when you think that today, first-time buyers are largely what's floating the economy here in terms of the real estate sector.
Another milestone is the rate of growth in Canada. We talked about the huge rate of increase in the rest of the world. 6 million people. Right now, Canada is 34 million, which is about the same population as metropolitan Tokyo. Just to put that in perspective. 34 million people, one city region in Japan is spread out over Canada. And we're only going to grow by 6 million people. So we're barely maintaining our level of population. So to me that says that we're going to be less and less like the rest of the world. We're still going to have big issues that we need to deal with, you know, the water shortages, the energy issues, and all of those kinds of things. But we're going to be a very different kind of community. So this is where we get into things that Gordon Harris and I have been talking about for a few years, the demographic changes that are going to see 1 in 4 and perhaps more people over the age of 65. But in 1971, there were the ratio was 7 to 1. Number of people paying taxes and the number of people, the proportion of people receiving the services. Currently, it's 5 to 1, and we know that we've got some deficit issues. Looking ahead to 2050, it's 2 to 1. So what that says to me is that the government coffers, federal and provincial, across the country are going to be very much constrained. There are going to be different priorities, and this is going to have a big impact on cities, and that's going to change the way that we think about building our cities.
Essentially what we're talking about is a development model that is about people. It's not about the way, I mean, certainly our firm and other firms have traditionally made places, which is about crafting the stuff, the buildings, the streets. Certainly that's important, but this is turning the concept upside down in a very important way. Granville Island has 3 essential magnets. So if you think of that place, there's an arts and performance element, there's a boating aspect, a marine aspect, and there's food. Food is one of the ones that tends to be in every great place, curiously. And the food magnet, just taking that as the first one, has all 5 of the elements I just talked about. So we have a market that sells food, the retailing aspect. We have food being produced on site. We have schools, classes related to that activity. We have the visibility of this obviously on display, but also in the landscape there's elements as well. And then there's obviously major events on Granville Island. And the core demographic thing is to identify those activity groups. So we bring in a demographic analysis when we go into a place, and we actually hang out and talk to people and do a lot of homework before we set out going to work. From a city point of view, obviously if it's a smaller place, you get a branding and reputation built around that idea. There's animation, there's energy to the place that lasts through time. That's the key element, that it can last through time. There's a quality of life. You can mix uses into this. There's a clear business success, and there's increased land value. From a purely business point of view, there's better places to locate business. There's more walk-by trade. There's success in business. There's not retailers failing. There's more people accommodated in a place, and there's magnetism to one place. From a community point of view, greater vitality, recreational choices, a sense of culture and expression of your place, your thing, and pride.